Have you ever wondered how a Portuguese peasant would look like on a FIFA card? No? Okay. Hello, I'm the Stat Man and today we'll be doing just that. I'll be giving you an in-depth comprehensive list of peasants from all four corners of the flat earth. But first, honorable mention 94 rated China. Now, of all my 80 years of experience in this field of work, I've learned that Chinese peasants are truly built different. At first glance, they might look calm, even harmless to an extent, but that's where you're so wrong. Chinese peasants are not to be slept on. One day they're calmly working the rice paddies, then the next they're leading one of the single most bloodiest conflicts in all of history, massacring whatever crosses their paths. Humans, horses, Mongols, you name it. For that, I truly feel the need to give them a solid 99 in communication for their ability to plan such massive wide-scale rebellions, pretty frequently too. And as I always say, with rebellion comes aggression, sometimes a bit less than others, but with the Chinese I can assure you that is not the case. Let's take the Taiping Rebellion as example. You know, the rebellion led by Huang Zukang. The guy who had visions of visiting heaven, where he discovered he had a celestial family with a heavenly father, mother, brother, son, sister-in-law, don't ask why, and finally wife. But that ain't it. Listen to his visions on his heavenly father. I quote, black dragon robe, high-brimmed hat with a long golden beard. Okay, here's what I got. Don't worry, I don't think Chinese Jesus with a high-brimmed Cubs hat can hurt you. Can't say the same for China in 1860. Anyways, back to Hong's visions of his Chinese Jesus brother. He also told him that men were worshipping demons rather than him, and presented Hong with a sword and golden seal with which to slay the demons infesting heaven. Wow. Now if you're a normal person like me, and are wondering how you can achieve such glorious visions, well, you're in luck, because apparently all you need to do is fail your Imperial exam 4 times. Easy, I failed 5, and also don't stress if you don't live in Imperial China. That's fine, you can just substitute the Imperial exam for any exam of your choice. Just needs to be 4, remember that. Anyways, hopefully like our friend Hong here, if you're lucky by the 3rd time you'll suffer a nervous breakdown, where you'll be apparently completely delirious for days to the point that your family will fear for your life. Oh my god, all I see is wins, now I get a family. Okay, enough of that, now for the real list. At number 4 we got Portugal. Damn, we got Portugal starting straight at the bottom of the list with a whooping bronze 46 overall card. Yeah, pretty shit card if I'm being honest. Yeah, nothing too positive to say on this one except, oh my, can we admire the drip, the shirt, the Portuguese violin, the fucking hat? Look at that thing. My god, you gotta be a different type of ignorant to not realize this was the guy giving your Portuguese wife's cupcakes while out fishing with the homies Pedro and João. Anyways, even with this guy being the coolest peasant I've ever set my eyes on, I still had to give Portugal 46 overall. So the 99 arrogance shouldn't be a surprise to really anyone, and the 89 aggression kind of complements the arrogance. Here's the perfect analogy I could give you. So we have 2 rooms, room A and room B. In room A, you have a mad Portuguese peasant, like he is pissed off. You just snatched his whole family's harvest for the month. And in room B, you have a pissed off Irish peasant just because you took a singular potato. I'll let you pick for yourself. Room A. Back to the card. I wasn't feeling so generous, so Portugal got a 34 in communication for if I do say so myself, a pretty successful revolution that lasted a whole 2 days with relatively minimal bloodshed in 1910. The Portuguese Revolution, otherwise known as the October 5th Revolution, ended in an outstanding Republican victory, mainly due to the monarchy's troops not wanting to shoot on fellow Portuguese men, which consisted mostly of sailors and soldiers alike. With this, the monarchy fled where else than to its trusty old best friend, the one, the only, the British, who ironically kind of was the whole reason for this whole revolution in the first place, but who cares, right? So, now that I look back, maybe 46 overall might be a bit off, but hey, I just don't really like the Portuguese. Number 3, Ireland. How could I make a video talking about peasants and not bring up the Irish? And how could I talk about Irish peasants without bringing up the potato famine? You just can't. Yup, let's talk about potatoes. When the Irish were first introduced to the potato, which has its origins in the Inca Empire, they had no clue that they met their very own maker and their very own destroyer. You see, the potato has its ups and its downs. It's a hardy, nutritious, and calorie-dense crop, which was extremely easy to grow in Irish soil, so almost everyone depended on it in their diet, which also made the Irish peasants one of the most healthiest and physically strong peasants in the world. But there was a string attached, and a very big string. The potato mostly grows in what is known as vegetative propagation, which is a type of asexual reproduction. What does this mean? It means that the potatoes are almost identical copies of itself. So, hypothetically, if there were to be an infestant that attacked the potato straight to its core, then the potato would have no natural defense because of the lack of genetic variability, making the potato lose this glorious fight, resulting in an organic mass genocide like never seen before. But that's only hypothetically. Right? Right? Nope. That's exactly what happened. The effects were catastrophic to the Irish. Around 1 million people died and another 2 million immigrated out of the country. That's almost half of the entire country perished or gone. And let's not maybe talk about the role Britain played in all of this, okay? Good. So back to the peasant card. The Irish get a 67 in versatility because the ones who were lucky enough to get on a boat, or betterly known as the coffin ship, towards North America, would usually die in the most inhumane conditions you can possibly think of. Literally, human rights my ass. And for the ones who did survive, a very, very difficult life awaited them inland. This kind of makes me want to be an Irish freedom fighter. Anyone else? No? Okay. Who's gonna take the number 2 spot? Here's a hint. They got lungs of steel. Any guesses? Number 2. The Inca. The mighty Andes Empire, stretching from modern-day Colombia all the way down to Argentina. Wow, what happened? You see, the Inca would rank even higher in this list if it just weren't for their health and immune system. Ha! I guess you can say the Inca were Inca Babola fighting the smallpox. Ha! Get it, guys? The Inca Empire offered a lot compared to its counterparts of the age. Old men and women too old to work the land were usually cared for and fed from their many kind of warehouses that were situated all across the empire. Which is also one of the many reasons why some historians nowadays like to refer them as the first communists. So here's my take. You got the immortal leader, check. The work for the state, check. No one ever gets hungry, check. Mass industrialism and gulags, what? And last but certainly not least, brain surgery. Yup, you heard that right. While Europe was busy getting absolutely mopped up by the bubonic plague, these guys over here were busy doing successful brain surgeries. Wow, 88 intellect indeed. Alright, the moment we've all been waiting for. Who will take the number 1 spot? Who truly are the greatest bunch of peasants of all time? Who can do it all? Fight a revolution, have little to zero rights, and get persecuted for not giving enough wheat. Get sent to a gulag for voicing your own opinion. Well, if you answered Russia, then my Soviet Ushanka is off to you. Number 1, Russia. Damn, I don't know what to say except pain. Poor Russian peasants all throughout history just getting absolutely abused, whether it was the Mongols to the east or the Germans to the west, or the abusive father in the house. Life was certainly tough for your average Russian peasant, but hey, at least you get the number 1 spot in the stat man's list. Maybe that serves as some sort of compensation. The constant threat of impending death and back-breaking labor. Well, at least at the end of the day, they could crack open a vodka, right? Wrong. In fact, you couldn't be any more wrong. You see, back in the day, around 1485, the potato hadn't arrived in Russia yet. So vodka was still being made with ethyl alcohol. What does this mean? It means it was extremely easy to get your hands on, rendering a great amount of people, especially the poor, dependent on it. It became such a problem that the Tsars loved what they were seeing and right away thought of a way to exploit it. They promptly banned the stinky peasants from distributing vodka and started making their own factories pumping so much of that poison, and all they saw was gain. They were filling the coffers while the peasants were too intoxicated out of their mind to know who was the real enemy. Talk about a win-win. And the vicious cycle continues. The alcoholic father unloads all his stress and misery to the only people he cares about, his wife and kids, which then causes more misery, and one thing leads to another. You got an alcoholic peasant at the ripe old age of 11. All they know is plowing the fields and drinking the good stuff. But enough of that depressive talk. The stat man only likes positivity. Let's talk about the lucky ones, the highest class of peasants, the kulaks. The peasant class that, listen to this, became so wealthy that they often rivaled the authority of Soviet officials in their own village affairs. And if you're thinking, oh no, this can't end well, you couldn't be more right. Because if you didn't know, the Soviet officials didn't really like wealthy citizens. So, with this in mind, in 1929 they ran a campaign called dekulakization, which literally meant liquidate the kulaks as a class. So what did we learn today? I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, it'll help tremendously if you would like and subscribe. I've been the Stat Man, and you've been an illiterate peasant, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your harvesting day.